So this is Ellie Darby from Disability Rights Wisconsin, and she is our speaker this week.
So I'm here with Disability Rights Wisconsin, and like I was mentioning, I'm the lead advocacy specialist working for adults. So I've been at DRW a little bit over 4 years now, and prior to that work, I worked with state and county systems and nonprofits. So I kind of feel like all the different experiences I've had have been a good background for what I do. And so I'll start out talking about generally who you are. I know some of you have heard of DRW, but not everybody may have heard of DRW, which is short for Disability Rights Wisconsin. So we're a private nonprofit agency designated by the governor to advocate for all people with disabilities. And we're part of a nationwide system. And in just a minute, I'll put up a video that'll tell you more about that nationwide system. We have 3 offices in Madison, Milwaukee, and Green Bay. We have additional people who work throughout the state. We have about 70 staff, and we're governed by a board of directors and councils of people with disabilities, family members, and others with an interest in disability. And that's actually part of our charter is we have to have people with disabilities in those groups. So that's something as a person with a disability, I really appreciate. Our vision is that all persons with disabilities and their families shall be empowered to exercise and enjoy the full extent of rights and to pursue the greatest extent possible quality of life. Some of our core values, which I think fit in really well with what you all are doing at People First, is focusing on dignity, diversity, independence, accessibility, inclusion, human rights, and liberation. It's really important for us at DRW, and me in particular, to make sure that the people we work with have a choice and a say in their services. We're big advocates of self-determination. We really believe that the person receiving services or with the problem really is the best expert on what's going to work for their lives. So I'm with Protection and Advocacy Division, and that's some of our core services. I also do some time with the Victim Advocacy Program. About 25% of my time comes out of that program, so I can speak well to those programs. I wanted to let you know there's a whole lot of other programs DRW has too. If you're in family care or IRIS, they have an ombudsman who can assist with issues there. They work on some managed care external advocacy. There's a disability benefit. They provide training to disability benefit specialists. So if you see a benefit specialist at an aging and disability resource center, it's high likelihood that DRW staff have provided them training to do the work that they do. And then for older people, we have Medicare Part D helpline. So it's not important that you know which particular program you might fit in when you call. If you have a problem and you think it's related to your disability, you can just contact us, and I'll give you that contact info in a minute. And the staff there will help you figure out who the best person to go to is. I want to talk a little bit specifically about the Victim Advocacy Program, because I think it's important, and a lot of people don't know that people with disabilities are more likely to be victims of crime. And so this is a special service that the state of Wisconsin provides through some federal funding we get to make sure that we can support people with disabilities who are victims of crime. Staff can be with people and help them understand the criminal and civil proceedings that might go on, can help you understand options, access support. There's also some crime victim compensation funds, so it could help you apply for that, understand what kind of expenses might be eligible. And then we provide education to providers, to law enforcement professionals, to help them understand what victims of crime who are people with disabilities really need. And that can really come into play when people have an intellectual disability, a mental health disability, any kind of speech or language issue. Helping the professionals understand how to best connect with people can be helpful there. So no matter what the program, we serve people of all ages throughout Wisconsin. You don't have to be in one of the cities that I mentioned before. It could be getting DRW services anywhere. And again, any type of disability. So here's a short video I think you'll like. It's just a couple minutes, and it really helps you understand a little bit more about the protection and advocacy system throughout our nation and how we got started. So I'll play that. Can you guys hear that all right?
We don't see a video on our end.
I don't see a video, nor do I hear anything.
Okay. Let me see if it's a sharing screen option. I think I might have to share this other screen. I think this is why. Let's try again. Okay, so. Are you seeing my PowerPoint again?
Yep. Now we are.
Awesome. Okay, any thoughts on the video before I move on?
Thought I did a good job explaining everything.
Could you send us the link? I could barely hear the sound.
I sure can. In the PowerPoint will be the link. And I think I can also, that'll probably be the best way to get it is in the PowerPoint, okay?
I can email you the PowerPoint too, Larry.
Okay. One thing I think is interesting about that too is that was Geraldo doing his early reporting days. So that's a fun fact that people don't know is that he was really an early disability advocate. So if you're ever on a trivia show, you can add that one or maybe drop that into a conversation. So one of the things that I wanted to talk a little bit about is some of the individual advocacy that we do at DRW. So like the video talked about, we might investigate abuse or neglect against people with disabilities. And those are people who call us up They might be at a hospital, they might be at a group home, they might be an adult family home and have concerns about their setting or their situation. I do a lot of work with helping people get services in the least restrictive settings and letting people know how to file client rights agreements, and we'll talk more about that later. I've worked with people who have a guardian and want more say in their daily lives. And that might be anything from being able to get a haircut, being able to have some of the activities they want in their world, or even having more control over their own money. And then finally, we can advise about discrimination in housing and explain options. Are other people hearing a little bit of an echo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. I'm not sure why, but
I have an echo.
no.
What was this? Ramsey, you have both your phone and your echo going, because that might be where the echo is coming from. I don't know.
Okay. Seems to be a little bit better. So if somebody's muted themselves or turned off a device, I appreciate that. And so this slide, and you'll get these, is how to contact us. So you've got the 800 number there. There's an online form, and you can email us or you can mail us. We really want to make sure that we can talk to you or connect with you electronically if that's something that if you think you have an issue that you need assistance with and you're not sure, you can call us up. We try to make it so that people don't have to fill out a lot of forms. They can just have a conversation with us. They don't have to provide a lot of documentation, as opposed to other problems. If somebody says they have a disability, we're going to believe them that they have a disability, and we're going to work with them. So we try and make it easy to connect, because we don't want to set up another barrier for you. Because if you're calling us, you've already had some issues with discrimination or exclusion, and we want to be a support to you. So in addition to some of the individual advocacy we also work with systems. So our staff advocate with state agencies. We serve on committees. There's education about disability related voting rights. That's like the Wisconsin Disability Vote Coalition or the DRW voter hotline, which is active during elections. During COVID-19, staff worked on access to issues to vaccines, medical treatment, in-person support, voting, special education, patient rights, and crucial services for people with disabilities. So a lot was done there. I just wanted to highlight, have you guys heard about supported decision-making agreements before? You nod or raise your hand. Yeah, I won't spend a lot of time talking about this, because I'm sure if you haven't, you may have other speakers. But DRW was involved in this process, making sure that there are options other than guardianships for people. And that the person with the disability gets to choose the supporters to help them make their decisions. And that's a free program service. So you can follow that clickable link there to see more information. And that's on the Wisconsin Board for People with Developmental Disabilities website, if you want to know more about supported decision making. Now, one thing I wanted to spend a little bit more time talking about is patient rights or client rights process. I think it's really important for this group to know that there are certain rights that you have when you receive services as a person with a disability, and you have a right to put in a grievance if things aren't working right. So just generally, one thing we kind of want to start with thinking about is overall, kind of how should this work? What's the philosophy? And we really believe that person-led decision making means that clients are recognized as expert on their own lives and decisions, and that services and supports are based on your unique needs, goals, and strengths, and that there should be a focus on how people can live their best lives. And staff have some specific roles here. They should actively seek to understand. They should welcome questions and focus on solutions. So specifically, whose rights are protected? If you have or receiving treatment for a mental illness, a developmental disability, substance abuse, alcohol abuse, or drug dependency, then you qualify. A person receiving care for solely physical disability conditions generally can't use this process. It doesn't mean that you don't have rights, but there's another process you have to use, and you should ask on how to file client rights grievance under those situations. So a couple of things that it's helpful to know. Before treatment starts, the provider agency must tell you about your rights and provide a copy of the grievance procedure. Now, anybody who's gotten involved in a new program knows you fill out a lot of forms and you sign a lot of documents. You know, so you may get this form and say, oh, okay, whatever, it doesn't apply to me now. That happens a lot. So don't feel like you have to keep track of that. That's not on you to do. You should be able to talk to any staff, and they should be able to tell you how to file a grievance. Not always the case. So, but all providers, agencies must have a trained client rights specialist, or they call that the CRS. And they need to speak with the client or the patient who has a concern, or the guardian who has a concern, and they're there to help you file that grievance. The agency needs to have informal and formal grievance processes and timelines. You shouldn't have any retaliation. No staff should threaten or retaliate or punish you for asking about your rights to file a grievance. And you can also still choose to sue in court during, after, or instead of filing a grievance. So what kind of rights are we talking about? Okay, so there's specific codes that you can take a look at them, and a lot of them are listed in Chapter 51 and DHS 94. There's a whole lot of them. The self-help packet lists them too. The common ones that we hear about at DRW: being treated with dignity and respect, prompt and adequate treatment in the least restrictive setting, allowed to participate in your treatment planning and be advised about alternatives. So it shouldn't be, this is what's happening, please sign this. It should be, oh, here are some options, you know, which would you like? Free from restraint. Staff must make fair and reasonable decisions about treatment and care. You should not be filmed, taped, or photographed without your consent. And people should be allowed to make and receive telephone calls, see visitors, and spend money how they choose. So there'll be a link, and I also sent Sydney the PDF for the self-help packet, so you'll have that. I want to let you know that that self-help packet is there to guide you, but if it's confusing or you want a staff person to help you through the process, all you have to do is contact us by email, by phone, and we'll work on assisting you with that too. So what's in that DRW self-help packet? There'll be a list of your rights, a summary of the grievance procedures, steps, and timeline, how you can write that grievance, problem solving for if you get a bump in the road, and then some templates or worksheets on how to write a grievance or an appeal and track your correspondence. Also, if you want more information about patient rights or grievances, there's a link there. That's a clickable link to the Department of Health Services Client Rights Office. There's sample pamphlets for community and inpatient providers, state developmental disability centers, and other state operated facilities. You'll see some. I'm hearing that echo again.
Yeah, me too. Someone has their hand raised, so I don't know if that's part of it.
Okay, who's, we have a question? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is Ramsey. So that DRW self-help package,
Does DRW help self-help? Was that the question?
there's, yeah, so you said every agency has a client rights person. Can you tell me who that person is for,
So I probably would not be able to tell you who the client rights. rights person is at the agency you have a concern about, you should be able to talk to the staff there and they should be able to tell you. That's going to be your fastest way. A lot of times people will have concerns because the first step of the process is working with the agency. You'll do that grievance. You'll write it up. You can do it verbally, but somebody should write it for you. We always recommend that because it's just a paper trail, right? It's better if you have it written. You should link it to one of those rights that we talk about. And the pamphlet explains all this. And then the first two stages are with staff in the agency that you're complaining about. And so sometimes I'll talk to people and they'll say, why should I do this? Because I'm having to complain to the people who've, you know, violated my rights. But that is a process. And we encourage people to do it because if those first two stages don't work, then the next stage, it goes up to the state level. Might go to the county level first, depending on who pays for the services. But eventually it will get to the state if you're not comfortable with the response. So somebody outside that system will look at it. Does that make sense? Okay. So any other questions that we have right now?
Mira was wondering who's echoing, and I'm just answering her. I'm telling her I don't know who it is.
Yeah, you can tell her that she can ask the agency and they should be able to tell her. Because it's different, the client rights specialist is different for each agency that you have a concern about. And I'm happy to talk about other issues that you might have or other questions you have about DRW. It doesn't need to be about client rights. That just happened to be the last thing we talked about. So I guess I have go ahead.
I was gonna ask, what in particular do you guys do with voting rights during the time of election? Is it like a voter hotline or something?
Yeah, there's a voter hotline, and prior to the elections, we do education. And we have a couple of staff who that's their specific focus area. And they do some public awareness campaigns to make sure people are registered, to make sure that they can connect with folks who can help them understand the issues that are important to them. And I've been a part of a team that's gone out and audited accessibility at polls. That was kind of fun. So we went and looked at physical accessibility. Did they have a machine that could work to read people their ballots if they wanted that option? So that was really interesting work as well.
All right, and Marie has a question in the chat, and then two other people have their hand raised. Marie, do you want me to read your question or do you want to read it? Okay, I'll read it. Z is asking, if you see someone being abused, how can you intervene without backlash?
That's a really good question. So intervening when somebody else is being abused is a tricky situation. It'll depend on what's going on. So that could be a situation where is there another staff person at the facility if it's going on? Is there somebody around that you can trust to get involved? Depends on the age of the person, right? County services could be appropriate. Whether that's a child or adult would depend on whether you called Child Protection Services or Adult Protective Services. Those are anonymous calls, right? You don't need to say who you are, and they wouldn't need to disclose who you are. So those would be some places that I might refer you to. But that's a very good question and a tough situation.
And then it looks like Terry had her hand up first.
Okay, my question is off of Sydney's voting question. My cousin had her voting rights taken away and I'm her guardian. So I'm considering filling out a form, I think goes to the court to get it back. So I'm just wondering where I should go to maybe get assistance on that.
Yeah. Have you heard of the Guardianship Support Center?
Yes.
I would refer you there. Those are, you know, when it comes to those kind of issues, we work closely with them at times.
Okay, I think I've heard of them, but do I just look them up? Is
Yeah.
it a
And I can,
station?
it is, it's a statewide organization. I will look them up and put their information in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
And this is Ramsey. The BPDB also has supportive decision-making guides on their website.
So you asked about, what's on, is there supported decision-making material on the website? Is that the question?
The Wisconsin Board for People with Disabilities also has the supportive decision-making guides on their website for voting.
Okay, thank you. So I don't know if you caught that, but he's saying that there's information on the Wisconsin board with people with developmental disabilities, information on voting on their website.
Supportive decision-making.
For supported decision-making, yeah. So the slide that I talked about has that clickable link, and I can click on the link and drop that link in the chat, if that would be helpful to you guys. I'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry. Can I have you repeat your name again? I'm so sorry.
No problem. My name is Ellie, E-L-L-I-E. My last name is Jarvie, J-A-R-V-I-E. And the very last slide of the presentation has our contact 800. It has our website, and it has my direct email. And that's
Okay.
lej@drwi.org. And I'll put that in the chat as well. You bet.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
much. And Sydney, can you send a PowerPoint out to us at the end of the meeting?
Yes, I can. I think I will ask Nancy for you. Oh, I do have your email, Ramsey, so I can get that out to you.
Ramsey2@hotmail.com.
Yeah, I got your email written down and Larry's email. And if anyone else wants a presentation, just let me know and I can get that out to whoever wants it.
Yep.
If
Thank
you're
you very much.
Yeah, if you're comfortable, you can put your email in the chat and if you want the presentation and the recording. Let's see.
Yeah, that'd be great. And Ellie, I'm sorry, I have one more question.
Don't be sorry. I love questions.
Did you say the Department of Health Services has a civil rights office?
So it's the client rights office that I was talking about. And I can put that link in the chat to you too, if you'd like that. And it'll also be on a clickable link on the PowerPoint. When the PowerPoint comes, there are certain things, text that's in color and it's underlined. If it's in color and it's underlined, that means you can click on that link and it will take you to a website.
Okay, do you happen to know who's in charge of the client rights office at DHS?
That will take me a minute to look up, but I think I can do that for you.
Would that be Curtis? Is it Curtis?
It's not Curtis Cunningham. He's in a different area. Let me see the fastest way to find this. I just got an email with an updated org chart. So let me look for that. That's Kevin Laetisch, Laetsch, is the client rights supervisor.
Okay, Kevin Davis, LAE.
Yeah, I can put that one in the, yep, Laetsch. And I can put that in the chat if that would be helpful to you.
Yeah, if you could grab it to the end, send it to my email too. Yeah. Something like this. Okay, thank you.
Your bet.
The reason I'm asking is, someone I know would greatly benefit from that, so that's why.
All right. So if you'd want to, though, work on the client rights process, that you'd want to start more with the agency where the concern occurred. So the other thing to know is there's certain deadlines you have to meet in that process. If you miss them for some reason, you just have to basically explain why you need the extension. And in my experience, they've been pretty willing to take a look at why, if it's a reasonable, you know, they've mostly been honoring those.
That's good to know.
Okay, so
Does anyone else have any questions for Ellie?
hopefully today was a way you at least, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you for all you do. This is Ramsey Lee. Thank you for all you do for the
You're very welcome. I feel the same about the work that you all do at People First. It's important, and we can all help each other out, learn a little bit more, and have some better lives. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about disability rights in Wisconsin and what we do. And you can share this information with other people that you might encounter. If you have an issue where you believe that your rights have been violated, or you've been discriminated or experienced abuse because of your disability, you can certainly give us a call. Or drop us an email too. I'm showing my age.
Yeah,
Not always.
Some people prefer email over calls.
That's true. Either are fine. All right. Really good to talk with you all today.
Yeah, it was really good to talk with you too.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.